Hello! Going to be starting off with 220 grit to sand down before I do hopefully the last layer. Not sure exactly why I've got a bunch. I don't know if you can see how it kind of sort of left lines through it. It could be because the goat, or I'm not really sure, but it did it even up here where the goat's not at. I'm going to sand it off, clean it off with alcohol, put tape around the top, and then do another coat of epoxy. So this is what it currently looks like. And I'm going to be using 220 grit sandpaper. And you don't have to do hard, just, you know, enough little light scuff to make sure that the next layer of epoxy will adhere to it. I think that's one of the things I had done wrong in one of my earlier sandings, is I went a little too hard, and I ended up with the chunk out up here, which is why I ended up using the butterfly to cover it up. I do have my respirator on because not sanding without being safe and careful. And since there are divots, I want to make sure I get in between the divots. Bottom too. Clean it off with alcohol and be ready to let that evaporate, and then be ready to pour. Just tape and then pour. Tape up my area up top here. Make sure it's good and flat bottom. And I used a sharp blade to make sure I got all the epoxy off the edges. So you can see some scratch marks probably on it. Let me get some gloves on. I don't use any oil or fingerprints, and do one more good coating on that, cleaning it off. And but all right. Okay, I'll be back to you in just a few minutes after I let this air dry a bit, and then I'll put the tape on, that way it's got a good seal. Be back soon. Okay guys, I'm back. I've mixed up my resin, let it sit, and hopefully it's thickened up some, because it's a low viscosity. And the only thing else I have is deep pour, so it's even more low viscosity, so I can't use it. So everything I have is, you know, low viscosity for getting into those nooks and crannies. If I get into doing these more, I'll definitely have to get a thicker resin. So we'll get started. Let's see if I can get this to turn the right direction for me. There we go. And see if I can get this to look better and correct it and not have all these weird bumps. We have this too, just in case, because I saw Marvelous Artsy use this the other night when she used her tumbler. So see if I keep it off the hands as much. I think I'm just going to have to give up and go with my hands here. Messy, messy, messy. That's just gonna have to be good enough. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be lifting up any that I can tell. I'm wondering if that might have been something that caused these lumps. I don't know. All I can do is hope this next layer comes out. I'll get these gloves off, turn off, and we'll see how this looks when it's over. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it. My first tumbler, and I said in the previous one that I lost all the footage for the first couple of things I did. What I started with was Craft Smart acrylic paint. I started doing the blue and the purple. Let the first coat dry, then I did a second coat, and then that second coat I put a layer of glitter. And then when that dried, I did a coat all the way across in Mod Podge and did more blue and purple and black. And then when all that cured, I did epoxy, and when that cured, I did the stencil with the goat on it, but the stencil ended up tearing when I took it off. It got on there. And I had first used glitter, but the glitter, the white glitter was just, the blue and the purple was showing up too much. So I went over, after it cured, over the white, tried adding more glitter, which is why it's so dimensional. That didn't work. So then I went through with some just acrylic paint and painted over it. And then I did one clear coat, and then sand, and then this clear coat. So crossing fingers, this turns out okay, decent at least. Keep fingers out of all this resin stuff and get cleaned up. Turn off everything. Hi everyone, I'm Maureen of Coral Marine's Resin Art. I just wanted to show my tumbler. It's a hot mess. I don't know if you can see, it is weirdly lumpy all the way through. I have sanded and recoated and tried everything I can think of, and I don't know if it's because the way the goat was on here, it just kept causing, because it was, you know, obviously higher up than the rest of the glitter parts. So if there's anybody that makes tumblers, because this was my very first tumbler like this, I did, you know, an attempt on a snow globe tumbler. I didn't do that part on video other than just showing the final effect of it in one of my shorts. But if anybody has any, you know, tips or tricks, or I watched several videos and I've never seen this come out on anybody else's video like this. So if anybody has any information that, you know, that does tumblers and can give me any tips, because I'd like to redo another one for my mom, because that's just, it's not, there's still some like rough spots where the glitters or the resin just does not want to adhere to a couple of spots
around the outside edges. You can feel the roughness of it. And like I said, I've done a couple of coats of epoxy and it's still that way. I don't know if yet another, doing even more epoxy over it or not would help, but I'd appreciate, any information, any tips, tricks, or what to do next time when I start over. I'd greatly appreciate it. But I'm still putting this out on YouTube. It's, I lost a lot of my footage. That frustrated me and probably caused me to make some more mistakes on my last little bit of filming, because I was so frustrated and my mind wasn't thinking clearly, and I was just trying to, get this done. It was taking me so long because I don't have, like a way to cure it fast or anything. It's just, waiting for 24 hours, trying to get rid of bubbles and stuff. But and I know I'm rambling, but I've never put my face on here. You might usually catches little bits and pieces when I'm doing the work and stuff. And I want to say thank you to all my subscribers. I'm over 100 now. I'm actually close to 150. Thank you all so much. I really, really do appreciate it. This is, I've been doing resin for 3 years, but I've never attempted a tumbler before. And I got the tumbler machine actually to do rings like I've seen Daniel Cooper do. And a couple other people since Daniel Cooper had done his. So, and I still haven't even tried that part yet. I will be, I promise, because I do have some rings and I do want to be trying that. I will be doing that in the future. But I'd still like to, before October time, because I know it takes, time for resin to properly cure before you can start using it. So, I'd like to be able to start sometime at least by August, so it'll be done over, like a week's time or whatever for each stage, to redo a nice small tumbler, so I can gift it to my mom to go with a couple of other things that I've made for them. I made some coasters. I didn't show those ones. It's just some personal ones for my parents. I made one for my husband. I've got to finish off his table. I've just got one last clear coat, and then he can put the legs on it, and he has a river table that I've started last year. But due to weather, temperature, time, losing interest in working with epoxy because of negative comments from some family, extended family, but still, it really put a damper on me doing any creating for almost a year. So everything went into stop. I actually have a couple of projects that I started. I have a cool one that I started for me. It's was supposed to be a tray mold that's going to hold a cauldron, and I even used my Cricut Joy and put a little saying on it, and it glows in the dark. And so it's like 3/4 done. It literally probably only needs just a top coat for it, and then his table needs a top coat and legs. He's going to help me build tray legs for anybody that's seen my work on Facebook, in my group, or on my page, or in like Letsresin group. You've probably seen the I guess it's kind of like a teal color, light green tray that I made from Letsresin mold and Letsresin epoxy, and then some wood that I'd picked up and made sure it was, properly dried and cured before starting the whole process. Once my craft room is completely done, I will be doing a full tutorial on how to do, like small river tables or trays. I personally don't recommend, just my personal opinion, about having, food touching actual resin without a barrier. Like if you're going to do a charcuterie board or something and there's going to be resin on it, put down clear saran wrap so you can still show off the beautiful piece, but your food's not directly touching the resin. That's just from my personal view. That's why I also wanted to, you know, make sure that the lip is completely clear of resin. I'll be, you know, making sure I give it a really good hand wash, and letting it cure. I'll keep it and just use it as a sample of what not to do in the future. Or if there is any way I might be able to fix this one to actually be able to gift it to my mom, because I don't want to give it to her with all the weird little bumps on it and everything. I honestly can't tell if the camera's picking up how lumpy it is, and it's not as bad as it was, but I'd like to redo it. I just know that I'll have to figure out a different way to paint a goat on, because the goat stencil did not work out. It tore, or I guess it kind of did, but it just tore when I took it back off, and it's supposed to be a reusable stencil. I just have probably, you know, go about it in different ways. It was a Cricut stencil material, and this is the inner part of the goat. I only pulled off the outside to put on here, and then I did Mod Podge, which after doing the glitter I knew I should have painted first, done a white paint first, because the colors bled through the white too much. So that was, you know, another part of the fail. So that's why I ended up having to use paint over the goat, because it was just the blue and the purple were showing up through the goat. So I actually took just white acrylic paint and painted over the goat, so it's not all pretty and glittery. The rest of the cup is, and I had a flaw here when I did one of my sanding. It literally took a chunk out, so I used the butterfly to kind of sort of hide that flaw, because I didn't know how to get glitter and stuff just in one spot on a curved surface without it just completely running back off again. I guess hindsight, I probably could have used UV resin. I didn't even think about that until just now. Like I said, I got really frustrated after losing my footage, and then my computer kept saying I didn't have enough memory, so I sat there, tried to clear out stuff off my computer, and that just went down another rabbit hole of ended up messing up things on the computer. It's a couple years old, so I probably just need a new computer. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling on, but thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll be adding this into the end of the video process. So if you actually watch it all, you'll see this part in there. Thank you again. Like I said, I really appreciate everybody. I'm almost 150 subscribers, and I'm just, I think, a month and a half in now, maybe close to 2. I have a lot better tutorials. My first couple were horrible, because my very first 2 I didn't talk. I was so nervous I didn't talk at all. And now I just ramble and talk too much. But thank you all again. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye.